In Capital News tonight, government directs undeveloped industries be given to those who can develop them. Accident involving 3 lorries kills 1 and injures 2 people in Bear. And in sports, comedian Mzee Jumanne Alela, famously known as Mzee Matata, is laid to rest in Dar es Salaam. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. The government has said that it has reclaimed all industries that were privatized but not developed and called on citizens with the ability to acquire and develop them to be allocated land. This was said in Dodoma in Parliament by Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa during a question and answer session before members of Parliament continued debating the 2021-2022 government budget.
When
we find people who are willing to run the factories under our terms, it will help to continue our target of industrial economy in the country. Honorable members of Parliament, I assure you we are ready to invite Tanzanians who are determined to run the factories with more efficiency.
The
project is big and more beneficial to the Southern Highlands and Southern districts. Completion of the project will speed up construction of SGR from Mtwara to Mamba Bay. The challenge that I see now is the current infrastructures like roads from Geita to Bukoli, Rungaya to Kahama is passing through the mines.
Runguya kwenda Kahama. Hii barabara inapita kwenye migodi. Haipitiki sasa. Na kama haipitiki, hiyo ndio hata makinikia anaulizwa humu ndani yanapita barabara hiyo.
1 person has been killed on the spot and 2 others injured after 2 lorries that were exchanging a tomato consignment next to Iwambi Hill on the Tanzania and Zambia main road in Bear region were hit by another fuel tanker that lost direction when trying to avoid crashing into an IST vehicle.
Palitokea ajali iliyosababishwa na magari mawili yaliyokuwa yanafaulisha nyanya. Magari mawili aina ya Kenta.
The accident occurred after 2 vehicles were packing tomatoes from one vehicle to another at the roadside. This happened after one canter broke down while on its way to Mbalizi, where another canter came to collect the goods from Bear Road. An oil tank truck lost direction after being overtook by IST, forcing the truck to collide with the canters and the IST itself. From the accident, the owner of tomatoes consignment, Steria Sanga, died on the spot and 2 casualties.
The
2 canters that were at the road offloading and unloading tomatoes from one canter to the other. Then suddenly an oil tank truck came in high speed, collided on the canters. We heard a big bang and decided to run to the roadside, where we found vehicles and people on the floor. When we asked on what happened, they said the oil tank truck brakes failed, causing the accident.
A few days after President Samia Suluhu Hassan revoked the appointment of the District Commissioner of Morogoro and the District Executive Director of Morogoro Municipal for failure to oversee traders, the Regional Commissioner of Morogoro, Martin Shigella, has banned city militia from being involved in any operation within the region.
From now onwards, I do not want them to do any operation in Morogoro region. Let them continue to guard public properties like buildings and so on. I don't want to see them involved in issues of tax collection or arranging traders. There are special authorities for doing such tasks. This directives doesn't only go to the municipal, but to all districts in Morogoro region. We are ready to cooperate with the government. We were used to sell our things at the weekly markets. If you will give us a specific area to operate on, we shall abide, although we want to operate at this market. We didn't just go there. We were there because there was an agreement with the government, and there are official documents to prove that.
The Drug Control and Enforcement Authority, DCEA, and Tanzania Revenue Authority, TRA, have disclosed that they seized 88.27 kilograms of illegal drugs on June 2nd of this year at Kimara Korogwe area in Dar es Salaam, with the Commissioner of the Anti-Narcotics Authority saying despite the fight against the illegal trade, there are still a few people engaging in the business.
Tulipofika kwenye eneo la Kimara Korogwe, kwa jinsi tulivyokuwa tumeweka mtego.
When we got to Kimara Korogwe, where we had set a trap, the suspect was arrested, but he managed to escape and abandoned the vehicle. And once we had inspected the vehicle, we found drugs. The vehicle and drugs are in our custody.
Sasa gari tukakuta mle ndani kulikuwa na dawa za kulevya.
The Minister of Energy, Dr. Medad Kalemani, while addressing residents of Chihanga at the launch of the second phase of an electricity distribution project to areas on the outskirts of Dodoma City, has said that the government expects to use 17.3 billion shillings to ensure 4,604 citizens in 16 wards of the region have access to electricity.
Tena hii kazi ya kuleta umeme
Work to supply Dodoma with electricity must begin tomorrow, and they must complete all areas within 12 months. You must use locally sourced labor. They must not bring labor from another area.
Tuunganishe umeme na maendeleo, umeme na elimu.
We must connect electricity, development and education so students can have more time to study.
Kwanza kabisa, maendeleo ya kijiji chetu yalikuwa
the development of our area was hindered because there was no electricity.
Hamia hapa lakini wanaondoka kwa ajili ya umeme. Lakini kutokana na hali hii mpaka siku ya leo tunazindua, tunaamini kwamba tayari umeme umeshafika.
Residents of Kibondo District, Kigoma Region, have urged the government to stop carjackings and robberies and strengthen security on the Kasulu-Kibondo Road due to increase of the incidents along the road.
Tumejenga hofu kubwa na hofu ambao tuko nao mpaka dakika hii ni kuhisi.
We are living in fear. We think that ourselves and assets are not safe anymore. The robbers usually work at night, while the police officers conduct patrols during the day. I wonder how they are going to be combated. We must have fear. A poor lady like me, I can't imagine being chased at night while I don't even have money. This situation is leaving me in a limbo without knowing where to hide. The incident has occurred on 13th of December at 10 p.m. It was just a group of youth who did the incident. It has nothing to do with issues of robbery, because in the morning we collected shoes and machetes that were used to scare people. In a consecutive period of 3 years, there were no such incidences.
Sasa swala la attempt ya vijana wale lilolifanya ni kama katishio.
A legal and constitutional issue has been raised within the Council of Representatives session in Zanzibar after a councillor, Isa Haji Gavu, questioned the tabling of Zanzibar's Controller and Auditor General report, which he claimed was prepared and delivered by the acting CAG and not a CAG who was sworn into office according to the Constitution.
CAG is protected by the Constitution and has been given power as per the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear regarding this matter, that he must be nominated, sworn in, then begin work. This was done according to the law. Therefore, he will serve in this capacity until the time when the new CAG is appointed. The government says that he will be in that seat according to the law. He has been permitted by the president himself, according to the constitution. I was supposed to get the documents at the specified time.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation Ambassador Liberata Mulamula has advised officials of the East Africa community to ensure citizens of the member countries receive accurate information on implementation of projects that affect their lives.
That we must use the ambassadors to reach our citizens. That is my target, to ensure that people understand why we associate with such people and their impact to the country, where we have made bigger steps from customs union, markets, and now we're looking forward to include political federation.
Unajua kweli jumuiya letu liko na malengo tofauti na ya muhimu sana.
Our community has various targets which are important in reviving economies and trade. Luckily, our ambassadors are competent enough in handling the matters by coming up with solutions from many challenges faced within the community in order to strengthen our relations.
Tuko hapa kama ndugu moja.
It is important to find solutions of many challenges that are hindering prosperity of the community.
Tunaweza kuchangia kusaidiana ili malengo yetu yote yakae vizuri.
And that is all for the national news. International news is next.
This week on The Decor, there's a difference between a rustic design and traditional design. There's a completely different way. The rustic, it is stylish, but traditional is it's the foundation, it is the basic. Na hiki ndio kitu kikubwa ambacho wengi wanachanganya kati ya traditional design na rustic design.
Kuna vitu vya kumatch hizo traditional like a rustic. Pia rangi. Kwa mfano tayari una dark furnitures za wood. Make sure your wall is bright. It's bright, it's light. Spice up with kwa mfano kama sofa with colorful, not maybe too much, lakini colorful cushions, draw cushions, some plants. It's very important. Yani nyumba ikiwa na plants, it's alive.
Join us on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on your favorite channel, Capital TV.
In international news, the government of Kenya has reviewed COVID-19 containment measures in 13 counties within the Lake Basin region following a spike in the infection rate in the area. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe has said the dusk to dawn curfew will begin at 7 p.m. and end at 4 a.m.
The government of the Republic of Kenya is doing everything possible to ensure that our children are safe. Even these ones that have left school. Have you seen any without a mask? Look at them very well. Well adorned with masks. They soap and water. Are we together? We are talking about 14 million children. Why do you want to make noise about 6 of them or 10 who have COVID? This is not an issue at all. And I have continued to encourage His Excellency the President to continue to bite the bullets. You remember the noise you people were making before. If the president was not bold enough to open schools, would these children be lining up here now to get scholarship to go to high school?
Burundi refugees returning home from various camps in neighboring countries have been called on to integrate with communities in order to maintain peace and stability in the country. The call was made by the Minister of Internal Affairs, Security and Community Development, Gervais Ndirakubuka, when receiving more than 240 returning refugees who had fled to the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2015.
I am calling on you to cooperate with other citizens that you will find at the villages. Please cooperate with security committees because they are a source of maintaining peace, stability and development. The moment you spent at refugee camps has contributed in retarding growth of our economy in the country.
Ivory Coast's former president, Laurent Gbagbo, returned home on Thursday after he left the country in chaos almost 10 years ago. The opposition leader returns home after judges at the International Criminal Court in The Hague earlier in the year confirmed his acquittal, as well as that of his youth minister, Charles Bleguerd, of crimes against humanity. The two had been accused of instigating the post-election violence that engulfed Ivory Coast in 2011. President Alassane Ouattara, who sent Gbagbo to The Hague, has granted him the status and rewards reserved for ex-presidents, including a pension, personal security, and the diplomatic passport facilitating his return. And citizens from the Democratic Republic of Congo have commended measures being taken by President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda and Felix Tshisekedi in implementing joint projects, particularly on construction of roads in eastern Congo, whereby a big part of the construction of the roads will be funded by the government of Uganda.
Kufika hapa leo, nafurahi kuwa na nyinyi hapa leo. The people of Congo and the people of Uganda.
Kama mimi kutoka Uganda, hii barabara itatusaidia.
This road will help us to transport goods to Congo, as now we will have a market.
Watoto wa Kasindi, amjambo. Tumefurahi kufika hapa leo.
That's all for international news. We'll be back with business news shortly.
In this program, we'll be looking at the recently unveiled budget by the government of Tanzania.
Any questions related to this budget should not be looked in terms of the government should provide everything. I know the government is in the good move to enhance the PPP, the private-public partnership policies, laws, and the like, to make the economy functional. So that's number one. In budgeting, you don't plan as per the amount you don't own. You plan as per the amount you own.
We should be optimistic.
We should.
If they listen to views and advice from the experts and everything like that. Yeah.
I'm impressed because you have 7.4, something like that, going to the main projects, the strategic projects. That is almost.
So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing for the infrastructures and so on, because we've been saying our government investment GDP ratio is very small, and that cannot enhance productivity in the economy.
Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Back and now in business news. 336 cooperatives which have been inspected by the Cooperative Audit and Supervision Corporation, COASCO, have received disclaimer audit opinion for the 2020-2021 year, with 29 cooperatives getting adverse audit reports, a situation that has been contributed to by poor audit keeping records.
Jumla ya vyama ambavyo vilipata hati yenye shaka
Total of unions with unsatisfactory report is 163. 144 are agricultural unions. One of the areas is that secretaries don't have knowledge.
Swala kubwa ni la kielimu kwa sababu ukiangalia wafanyakazi ambao tumekuwa nao wa vyama vya msingi.
The main issue is education. If you look at the majority of our staff, most of the secretaries are Form 4 graduates.
Zaidi ya bilioni 4.3. Lakini mhasibu wangu ni wa kawaida sana. Wakati mzunguko wa fedha hiyo ni wa halmashauri ambaye mwenye mhasibu wake ana CPA ya uhasibu.
And Tanzanians have been urged to look for business opportunities with companies from Egypt, which will be participating at this year's Dar es Salaam International Trade Fair.
Tunawapa watu wetu nafasi kubwa ya uchaguzi wa bidhaa.
We have enabled the consumer to have more choice. What I've insisted upon is for Tanzanians to take this opportunity to learn.
High quality of the Egyptian products, we believe that we are a strong competition in the Tanzania market. And as I mentioned, we are targeting also how to increase the bilateral relations between our two countries. I think this is also a strong
tukakamata na tukashikamana zaidi katika nchi hizi mbili ambazo naziona kabisa kwamba wao wamepiga hatua kubwa kwenye upande wa maendeleo ya viwanda, lakini tunaweza tukajifunza kutoka.
It is good that we work together because they have made progress in industries and we can learn from them.
Basi tuangalie uwezekano wa sisi kuandaa viwanda hapa.
Coffee investors in the country have been advised to increase production due to growing demand for coffee from Tanzania in the world market.
The speed of coffee production in the country is not efficient enough because if you look at the level of other East African countries, we have vast land and bigger manpower to perform better. But unfortunately, we are producing only 68 tons of coffee in a year, while our Ugandan brothers are producing 400,000 tons annually. We are only putting on much efforts in non-productive matters. That must stop. Investors are catalysts of changes in the sector, for example, innovations, research, and technologies. On the matter of markets, we have to ask ourselves why Uganda is selling more comparing to us and end the habit of our farmers selling coffee in Uganda and not in Tanzania.
That is all for Business News. Sport is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him and he's being dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters.
Opposition, Joaquinho, he did lose to Lend.
In sports news, hundreds of people have attended the burial of comedian Mzee Jumanne Alela, famously known as Mzee Matata, who died on Tuesday night at Mwimbili Hospital in Dar es Salaam.
Mkubwa sana na wao wamekuwa ni sehemu ya familia ya ITV.
We have been cooperating with them well, and they are part of ITV, Radio 1, Capital TV, and Capital Radio family. We have Mizengwe on ITV, as well as a radio program in Radio 1. So we send our condolences to his family and children, friends and family, as well as other artists.
Wote tuko kwenye safari moja, mwenzetu ametangulia, tunaomba tu roho yake iwekwe mahali pema peponi.
Simba SC midfielder John Mkude has refused the club's request to undergo a medical examination to ascertain his health before possible action is taken against him for skipping training.
The Tanzania international was suspended by the club after they returned from South Africa, where they played against Kaizer Chiefs in the CAF Champions League, and he was summoned by the disciplinary committee, who postponed making a ruling until a medical examination was done. A source within the club says Mkude will not attend the medical examination and is instead waiting for the club to decide his future. In January, Mkude was fined 200,000 shillings by the Wekundu of Msimbazi after he pleaded for forgiveness when he was found culpable for 3 offences.
Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks pulled off a stunning playoff comeback against the Philadelphia 76ers to move within a victory of the Eastern Conference Finals. Here is more.
Young was fouled on a 3-pointer and hit all 3 free throws with 1.26 left to cap a 26-point comeback and send Atlanta on their way to a 109-106 victory over the 76ers this morning in Game 5. The Hawks won in Philadelphia for the second time in the series and can advance to the conference final for the first time since 2015 with a victory on Friday night in Atlanta. Young scored 39 points and added to a postseason where he has become a breakout star. Joel Embiid scored 17 points in the first quarter and had the Sixers on their way toward a romp with a 26-point lead in the first half. They still led 87-69 at the end of the third before they collapsed. Embiid finished with 39 points and Seth Curry had 36.
Rafael Benitez is hoping to receive a formal offer to become Everton's new manager after holding positive talks with the club. Here are more details.
Vacant ever since Carlo Ancelotti's shock return to Real Madrid at the start of the month. Everton's board, led by majority shareholder Farhad Moshiri, have mulled over a number of candidates and looked set to hire the former Wolves manager Nuno Espirito Santo. But subsequent reservations within the club's hierarchy regarding the suitability of the Portuguese has led to Benitez coming the front runner. The 61-year-old will be a controversial choice among Everton supporters because of his Liverpool allegiances. He managed the club for 6 years, led them to the Champions League in 2005 and called his would-be employers a small club after a Merseyside derby in February 2007.
Gianluigi Buffon has been announced as a Parma player once again, 20 years after having left the club to join Juventus.
Widely regarded as one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, the 43-year-old is still not ready to hang up his gloves and will play the 2021-22 season in Serie B. Buffon has signed a 2-year deal with his old club, but has a clause in his contract that could see him leave after just 1 season if he so chooses. The Italian icon was recently quizzed by reporters on his future while kicking off the Buffon summer camp at his goalkeeping academy in Marina di Pietrasanta.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. On behalf of everyone who worked to bring you this bulletin, my name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Kwa jina naitwa Sabina Emanueli, natokea kituo cha jeshi la wokovu. Kauli mbiu ya mwaka huu ya 2021 nasema tutekeleze ajenda ya 2040 kwa Afrika inayolinda haki za watoto. Kwangu mimi nitazungumzia kuhusu kucheza. Mtoto ana haki ya kucheza, kushiriki michezo mbalimbali. Michezo humsaidia mtoto kuchangamka